This public hearing is now called to order at 6 p.m. This hearing is being held as a requirement of the provisions of Chapter 131, Section 40 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, and act relative to the protection of the wetlands as most recently amended. Notice of time and place of this hearing was published in the Fairhaven Neighborhood News on July 17, 2025. It was also posted in the town's clerk's office. This meeting is being audioed and videotaped. Persons wishing to be held will be called in the following order. Motion to open public meeting.
Make a motion?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes for approval. Nothing. Meeting mail. Do we have any meeting mail, Joanne? Nope. And old business. So with that being said, continued public hearing request for an amended order of condition, applicants Sinkafa Park Drive LLC, owner White's Farm Incorporated, off Park Drive, SE 001-0553. A request for an amendment to an existing order of conditions was filed by Sinkafa Park Drive LLC for property located off Park Drive, map 17, lot 22B13. The applicant proposes to install a solar photovoltaic array consisting of 4,999 kWs and battery storage project within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. Revisions include wetland crossing areas and wetland flagging. The applicant is represented by Wesson and Sampson Engineers. Plan name is Park Drive, Solar PV Development, dated December 10, 2020. Revised plans dated March 20, 2025. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. Applicant requested a continuance to the August 27, 2025 meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion to open the continued public hearing.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And now I would like to entertain a motion to continue it to the set date unless someone has a question.
No. Motion to continue.
Second.
Do you have some?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
No.
All right.
August 27th.
Do I have a second?
I second.
27th. I'm
Yes.
sorry, did I say
August,
that?
no, that's right. No.
Oh, okay.
August 27th.
All right, so I'm going to entertain a motion to continue. Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing, NOI, Clems Way Solar LLC, CO, Rewild Renewable LLC, 1094 Main Street, map 7, lot 15, SE 001-0607. A notice of intent was filed by Zachary Fax for property located at 1094 Main Street, map 7, lot 15. The applicant proposes to construct a ground-mounted solar arrays in open fields and forested land. The work proposed is within bordering vegetated wetland, bank land under water bodies and waterways, and bordering land subject to flooding, as well as the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland and bank. The applicant is represented by Sarah Stearns of Bales and Thomas Incorporated. Plan name is Clems Way Solar Project, 1094 Main Street, Acushnet, Mass. Dated June 11, 2025. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. I'd like to entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
Motion to open public hearing. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good evening, the Commission. For the record, Zachary Farkas on behalf of the applicant, introducing the project formally, though it's been before this board and technical review committee meetings in the town many times. We're considering a solar project development on the 58 approximately acre parcel located just off Main Street, approximately 1094 Main Street, a little bit north of the private way known as Clems Way. The parcel currently hosts some landscaping and contracting bays at the Main Street side of the property, and then just across a small intermittent stream, you'll find 2 hayfields as well as a young growth woodlot at the rear of the parcel. Also hosted on the parcel is a park.
Can you speak up just a little bit for us, please?
Also on the parcel is a mobile home park with approximately 40 pads, plus or minus, that are along either side of Clems Way on the southern side of the parcel. The solar project development is in total about 15 acres with about 5 acres at each site, kind of 3 arrays on the property, 1 on each hayfield and then 1 in the back lot. So to date, we have been in front of this board in March of 2024 presenting an ANRAD which is a delineation and location of the wetlands on site. This board issued its ORAD just a couple months later in June of 2024, which locked in the wetlands, allowed us to set our setbacks from those wetlands and start working on our development area. In October of 24, we had a question about the stream. We came in and we had the stream confirmed as intermittent by this board through a determination of applicability. And then we had our TRC meeting, Technical Review Committee meeting with members of this board, Planning Board, Police, Fire, Board of Health, etc., to discuss kind of the initial plan set, and then finally formally submitted applications for a site plan review and special permit to the Planning Board, and for a notice of intent and stormwater permit to this board. So here we are opening up the hearing. We're also fortunate enough to have received the peer review letter today from Bill Madden and company at GAF Engineering. I won't speak for Bill. The peer review letter just came in this afternoon, so I don't expect everyone's fully digested it, but the basic summary is there's a fair amount of technical comments that he'd like to see us revise on the plan set, but in general, from my perspective, there's nothing materially that's concerning Bill, and my expectation is prior to the next meeting, I believe it's the 13th of August, we should get through a full plan set and stormwater plan iteration with Bill, and my hope is that we can resolve his comments prior to the next Conservation Commission meeting. If you recall, we worked extensively with Bill on the Middle Road project, really focusing on stormwater for that project. So a lot of the lessons learned have carried over into this plan set, and we've seen a much lighter pen from GAF Engineering on this one thus far. So
Speak up, please.
my goals tonight beyond introducing this project are simply to answer any questions from the board and the public, and continue until the peer review is complete.
And with that being said, I just want the board to know, I did end up reading Bill's thing, peer review
Right.
today on it.
Notes, yeah.
Yep, I don't see anything major. I see some things they're gonna have to do with the plans and get everything up to speed that Bill wants. I didn't see anything like really, like that was throwing a stone at us. It actually looked pretty good. I know that we've walked this site many times. We've been there for the ARAD, we've been there for wells, we've been there for a lot of different things, so we know the site pretty well. With that being said, if you guys have any questions, go right ahead and ask away. Anyone from the public? Go right ahead. Come right up, please. Could you please come up?
Hi. So I know you've seen me before.
Yeah, you still gotta say your name and everything,
Yep,
okay?
I'm Deborah Perry. We own the property that abuts this project at 1122 Main Street. I do have a lot of questions. So one question I have has to do with the connectivity issue. There has been major flooding over there when we've had major rain before. I have a picture of the flooding that has gone through that whole area. So one of the questions I have is, if this does go forward, which I guess is already decided, then how is that going to be handled in terms of the flooding that happens in that field there? Because I have a video of it on my phone, and I did send a picture to the committee. So I'm wondering how that's going to be handled in terms of the solar. I know that there's a lot of safety issues in place for that when the solar farms go in. And my main concern, I guess, about that is that, you know, since this project has been going on, and, you know, the plans have been being made about this, I want some kind of reassurance of accountability, because I know a lot of things have gone forward without permits. So I'm wondering what the Conservation Committee is going to do to be certain that there is going to be accountability for safety and protection, and that things are going to be followed through properly, because land has been cleared, things have been done without any permits. I'm wondering what's going to happen in terms of keeping that running properly so that it is done the proper way and protocols are met if the project does go through, to keep it safe. That's one concern that I have.
Well, do you want me to address each concern, Deb? Because here's the truth, right? No one on this board right here is an engineer at all. And that's why we took that project and said, okay, here we want to send this out for peer review. So what we're doing is we're having some of the best engineers look at this. They're making their recommendations. They're doing all the calculations. And it's by the plan is what they have to go by. So as long as our peer review said that those plans are good, the construction is good, everything should be exactly what is presented. I don't feel that our peer review or our engineer that we told them that they had to hire is going to let this happen where it gets flooded or the calcs weren't done right. I know that the engineer firm that we did is also the ones that was our peer review for Navison, which was nothing but a major headache. And this guy is also doing 211 Middle Road. He is not holding back. He 100% is looking out for the interests of the residents and the towns on this project. So I feel very confident that he is going to do his best to make sure that nothing is altered from what is being said or being done.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Go right ahead.
Mr. Fox, could you address that at all, her concerns with stormwater, as far as how you're going to handle and treat that?
Absolutely. So to what the chairman said, I echo that. We are not asking for any waivers or any exceptions to the stormwater control standards of the state of Massachusetts or the stormwater bylaw and requirements of the town of Acushnet. Mr. Madden from GAF Engineering is holding us to a high standard, and we're going to continue to iterate those plans until they meet or exceed his requirements. Further, we're required to build exactly to the plan set. We will not receive an order of completion until that plan set has been stamped by a licensed engineer and surveyor confirming that we built the project properly.
I'm not really concerned about how you build it. I'm concerned about the maintenance of it, I guess, is what my point was. And my other concern is there's a species of special concern that lives in that wetland. There's a box turtle, or there were box turtles that lived in there or live in there. There was a herring run going through there, which I thought meant that was not an intermittent stream. We had sent a letter at one point to the fisheries about that before the pandemic. There's also a river otter that lives in there. So I thought that the whole point of having that buffer zone was to protect all those creatures that live in there. And so the fact that all these places keep pushing that buffer zone further and further and further, I don't really understand, I guess, and I hope somebody will help me to understand this, the point of having that buffer zone and having that Wetland Protection Act if we're going to keep moving it further and further to make it easier and easier for people to put solar farms and whatever else in there. What is the point, I guess? I don't really understand. Help me understand.
Well, Deborah, I'd like to say one thing on that, okay? They went and they gave us a wetland delineation line. With that, we hired Bill to do an INRAD. Bill went over there and actually shrunk that site. He said that this flag is not right, we want it further in the field. This here, we want further in the field. So they didn't exceed the wetlands. If anything, Bill narrowed it up. GAF, the company that we said to go there and do an as-built and do the INRAD for us, he went there and actually shrunk that site. He said, nope, I don't believe in this flag, I want it closer, I don't believe in this flag. So it was all redelineated by the peer review we did. Now we all agree on it, right? So now that we agree on it, it's actually tighter standards than what it was in the beginning. Am I correct by saying that, Zachary?
You are, we started off at approximately 20 acres of total development area, and now we're closer to 15. And so just to compound what was said, we're not changing any of the wetland lines or the areas. We're just operating within the buffer area for some of the project. And that area, that jurisdictional area to the Wetlands Protection Act and this board is just being studied and being reviewed to a higher standard than the upland areas. We're not changing any buffer areas. We're not pushing any buffer areas.
I thought we already moved the, part of that waterway was already moved. That was my understanding at the last meeting that we went to. Is that not correct? That part of the waterway was already moved? Mr. Souza, I don't. That being said, I have notes in here that says part of the waterway was already rerouted.
Is that when the mosquito squad went through? Because I know that the state went in there, I believe. Am I right by saying that? Is that the state did go in there? They did dig a new trench.
Over the past 2 or 3 years.
It was probably a little bit before
Since we've
that.
been working on this project, there's been a fair amount of activity on the site. Some, as you accurately say, was done by our landowner, who was, what he would say, preparing for the project to come in. He spoke with Chairman Resendiz and other members of this board and stopped all work. Any work that's happened there was one incident where county mosquito came in and did a little bit of adjustment, but I don't think it was material.
So Deb, when the county came in for the mosquito thing, everything else, I was like, I didn't believe it. 100% I didn't believe it. I called and I talked to them directly. We had an issue as a board. We had an issue with where they put a bunch of stumps and stuff. It was right, we thought was right through 2 wetland flags. We were very upset as a board when we went to our site visit. When I came back after that site visit, I started making phone calls. I got a hold of the state. That was the state that did it. They have the right to do it. They don't have to come before the commission. They thought it was the best place where they stored all those stumps and everything. They pushed it there. They're the ones who put it there. They wanted them to rot away. At that point, like I said, when we went for the site visit, we weren't comfortable, but I did do my homework and research it and make sure that no one was saying a fib, right? I'm not saying anyone's going to lie to us, but we wanted to make sure what someone said is, well, we didn't do it, someone else did it. So I did the homework on that, and it was 100% true. It was that, I call it the mosquito squad, I guess you can call it whatever you want, but they went in there and they cleared it, they pushed all the stumps in that spot that we thought was not cool. They did a lot of work right along the river. They're the ones who cut some of the big pines down. So there was a lot done by that state that went in there. Going forward, just so you know, from now on, they're not just going to do that. From now on, they're going to get a hold of us so we know what's going on, right? So I don't have to do the homework. We're going to go to the site, meet with them. It's something that I think we're really going to learn more on, but it's also something that we now look at something a lot easier. So instead of us getting mad when we go to the site, we can say, hey, listen, they were here. This is why they did that. Just like the turtle thing. We don't regulate that. That's all state. It's not in our jurisdiction. I know Christian and I have been on a couple site visits for the turtle things, so we're learning about it, but it's not in our jurisdiction. That's something that's totally state, but we are learning about it so we know going forward, all right? So if there's any turtle issue or anything, I think that's them have to applying for the permit to the state.
Yep, just while you're talking about state and federal listed species, we've already completed our coordination with United States Fish and Wildlife at the federal level, as well as Natural Heritage at the state level, and Mass Historical Society. So those are kind of the 3 major checks we do for species, animal and plant, as well as historical features. So that's part of our initial site discovery and diligence on the site, along with wetlands, along with setting the line so we can understand and define what the developable area is. And that, as Chairman Souza said, shrunk considerably from our initial expectations for what we're going to do on the site.
Because of them being there, is that what you?
No, it was actually negative determinations from historical and both federal and state species.
Well, I have pictures of them in the water there, so.
Yep, I'm letting you know that we've gone through that process. The major setback changes were due to updates based on local bylaws, local stormwater, as well as the final delineated wetlands that were more or less in the ANRAD. The overlay, excuse me.
So how is it negative if they are existing there? I mean, you can come in my yard and see them. So how is it negative that they're not there? I'm imagining them to be there, or?
the state natural heritage program has a criteria by which they protect land, or they add additional take requirements to land. It's not required for this parcel.
So Deb, if they go through all the right steps, and that's what it is, they have to go through steps,
Yeah.
right? So it's up to the state to say, well, yes, we have to look into this, or we don't, or we feel this is comfortable. It's not up to the engineer. The engineer can only go
Right.
for the permits, right? They can only apply. They can let them know what they're doing. I know that, it's, a lot of people ain't into the solar fields. It's property that we can't regulate, and it's the owner's property, right? They have the right to do what they want. We just have to make sure they try to comply and do the best possible.
Right.
When we went out there, we didn't believe exactly that 100% the wetlands. We had an ANRAD done. So we've taken, as members of this board, we've taken our steps to make sure that they are doing everything correctly. And right down to the stormwater. We didn't sit here and review their stormwater. We don't want to. We want to give it to a professional, to an engineer that is going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and tell us, hey, it looks good, it don't look good, and they're going to let him know what he has to do to make it look good. So we're doing as much as we can, and we're covering as much as we can to make sure that when this goes forward, it's going to be done 100% correctly.
Well, I appreciate you letting me speak. It's very frustrating from an abutter's point of view. I have contacted, by the way, all those agencies and said, these animals are here, these creatures are here. I have photos of them. I'm not making it up in my head, obviously. I took pictures of them.
We've seen your pictures, Deb.
Yeah, and, all I can think of is that song, like, bless the beasts and the children. In this world, they have no choice, they have no voice. We're their voice. I feel like I'm their voice. And, further along, it's frustrating to see people. I was the one that called the police when they were there chopping down the trees with no permit, right on the land abutting me. So I don't have a lot of confidence that they're going to do things the proper way. I understand that you're all trying to do what you need to do, but I have zero confidence that you're going to do things the right way. Zero. That's how I feel. And I'm entitled to feel the way I do. I feel like once you get out there and you start the project, all the rails are off and you're going to do whatever you want.
But here's the
Maybe
thing.
not you personally, but the project itself. I don't feel like they're going to maintain it right. I feel like my property's going to be flooded. The value of my property's going to go down. That's my whole investment for my retirement. I feel like all those little creatures are going to be at risk. And I feel like it's just a commentary on everything that's happening in humanity. So that's, and then we wonder why coyotes and everything else are coming into people's yards because there's no place for them to go. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, if I may.
I appreciate you letting me
Deborah,
speak.
I can relate to, it's heartbreaking to see the land use change. I can relate to what you're saying. But as the chairman said, our hands are tied to
I
a degree
understand.
where we can't dictate to the property owner what he can do with his property.
Right.
But rest assured, we are gonna review everything that's done.
Thank you.
And we're gonna minimize the impact on the wetlands and the habitat. Because the wetlands will still be in place once the project is complete. And it shouldn't be a huge impact on the habitat. And I can relate to what I do relate to what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you for speaking.
Hi, my name's Kevin Furtado. I live on Robinson Road. And I guess my question is, why do we even need to let them work in the buffer zone? That land is so large, the project is so large, why do they need to go there? It doesn't make any sense.
So it's their right to work within the limits of the state regulations.
Isn't it your right to tell them no?
We have to abide by the state regulations.
But
We
that's
just can't say,
protected.
well, we don't feel like letting you work in the buffer zone.
But
They
is
have,
that protected?
they have state regulations they have to go by, period. And they have to follow the state regulations. His blueprints are gonna show exactly how far from the wetlands, what they're disturbing, what they're not disturbing. His blueprint is like gold. So all we can do is make sure he follows it 100%. Whether we send the engineer there mid-construction, whatever we do, the only thing we can say is that their plan is being reviewed. With their plan being reviewed, that is the goal that we set. They have to follow those plans. As long as they follow those plans, everything should work that our engineer says, that their engineer says, that all the buildings, construction guys that are building it, everything should work according to the plan. And if it does, I don't think we're gonna have issues.
That's great. However, it started out wrong by them putting their flags in the wrong spot. So already, step one.
Yeah, but it's
listen to me,
not-
Step one was already a falsehood for us, that they were already cheat the system with the flags. Number two, the landowner went on there and redesigned the whole land before he went in there, moved stuff around, did what he wanted to do without any permits or anything that he was supposed to do. So that's already 2 strikes before the project even started. Now we're gonna allow him to cross the wetlands and do other things in there? I really have a lack of trust, the same way my neighbor does, that things will be done properly, and I think as soon as you might show up and look, I think as soon as you turn your back and walk away, they're gonna say, crank up the stuff and go.
They'll never get a COC, they'll never be able to turn it on.
Right.
They'll never be able to turn it on.
You know, they've already done what they want, and I think they're gonna
It
continue
doesn't
to do
matter,
what
if
they
someone
want.
does what they want and it's not according to the plan, then we have a place to go at them about it. We can get our engineer there and say, okay, it wasn't built to plan, we want this taken out, we want this done right, and they have to hold to it.
That's great, but I don't understand why we need to let them cross the wetlands and work in the buffer zones and things like that. It was really difficult to hear what he was saying, because he was kind of talking really slow, so that only you could hear and no
No,
one back
but I
there
don't
could
think
hear.
that was Zachary's
You know, and
intention at
I
all.
heard about a third of what he had to say, and it sounded like they were gonna work in the buffer zone. And I don't understand why we need to let them do that if that's a protected area to actually serve a purpose. It has a purpose, we should let it serve its purpose, and they can redesign their stuff so that they're not going into the buffer zone, period, and they're not crossing the wetlands, period.
Okay, so if we took, and I'm just gonna be right out blunt with this, if we took and said, no one could ever work in the buffer zone in Acushnet, guess what? Nothing would get done in Acushnet. There's state laws and state regulations that we go by, and that's just like any engineer can grab that book and say, okay, we have the legal right to do this, we have the legal right to do this. And if they draw the plans and show it to us, and it's all within the WPA Act, we cannot say no. It's what they can do. So it's all about the state regulations. All we're doing is making sure it is done by the state regulations. The other thing you're saying is that they put the wetlands flags in on purpose in the wrong spot. I don't believe so. I really don't. Because there's some flags that were only 3 or 4 feet apart from our engineer. So that everyone's was real close. There was one section that I know that Bill Madden said for sure, no, this is getting changed 100%. So it's every botanist can be a little different too, right? But if we don't believe it, we're going to say we want it redelineated, period. And that's our job, to say we don't believe it, we're going to get it redelineated. So we did that. We did an ANRAD. We've done so many visits on that site already, it's like crazy, right? And you're right, the first one was a complaint about someone clearing trees. Then we did other site visits for a well that's going in. We've done site visits for the ANRAD. We've done sites for the original wetland flags, right? So we've been out there 100 times. Not 100, but we've been out there a lot. And what we said is, we're not engineers. Here you go, use this guy, get him over there, and he's gonna tell us what's right and what's wrong. So we're not sitting here guessing. We're using a peer review engineer to tell us what is right, what is wrong, what the problems they see in their plan, and that's why the plan is so important. Because if they deviate from the plan and our engineer sees that after build, they're gonna have to go back and change it. Just like they did at Navison. Navison wasn't the blueprints that were wrong, it was the construction that was wrong. So that's all we can do, is go by what we have the ability to do. And that's being blunt right out and say it like it is.
It just doesn't seem right that there's rules in place and they're just negated.
No, they're not being negated, they're being enforced.
However you want it to be. It's like the field over here by Country Hardware. Every time it rains, it floods out all the neighbors' property.
Okay, this is what I do for you if you'd like.
Same thing's gonna happen over
I will let
there.
you borrow this book, you can read it, you can see it, and then you'll be able to determine what to do. But we have state regulations, this book is what we go by. So these state regulations that are in here is what they use. That's exactly what you, am I right, Zach? This is exactly what this is what everybody uses. When you go for I don't care if it's a single resident, you have to still go by what these rules are in this book. We enforce these rules. We make sure the rules are being done correctly. We don't care if it's a solar, a development, a single resident, whatever it is. This is our right hand. We raised our right hand for this book right here. And that's what we're trying to do, is do what we can to make sure things are done correctly.
Minimize the impact.
Minimize the impact.
You know, you didn't come home the other day to what we came home to with all our chickens slaughtered. They're working on this stuff. Never had it before they started that. All the chickens, no heads, gone.
Oh, that could be an animal that did that.
Yeah.
No,
most of it,
obviously, yeah,
because it's,
no, that's, yeah.
you know, pushed out of the wetlands.
Huh?
The more wetlands you destroy all around Acushnet, they have to go somewhere.
You know, it does.
It's still by the state regulations though, and I want to keep emphasizing that.
I've got a solar field on one side of me, now I'm gonna have a solar field on another side of me. You know, when is enough enough?
Okay,
There's
so
gonna
let
be
me
no-
ask you
there's
this,
gonna be
you're
no-
on the edge of the solar field?
Yes?
Is your house in the buffer zone?
No.
Not at all. None of your property, you're within 100 feet away from
Yes, I
everything?
am. I have 20 acres.
Oh, yeah, very good.
So all I'm saying is,
Very good.
it's
We
this
had to make
book.
sure we were way outside of that for everything. But apparently solar farms don't. I
Residents
understand.
build within the buffer zone, developments go within the buffer zone.
Well-
There's regulations they have to
My
follow.
neighbor in front of me wanted to put a house in for his son, 2 houses down, and he was stopped.
Well, that's a totally different issue.
Yeah.
Right now, we're dealing with,
So the rules aren't the same for everyone, is what I'm kind of getting at.
the rules are right here.
Yeah.
These are the rules.
But
I have no idea what happened to that neighbor's son or whatever. It ain't before us right now. The only thing before us right now is this solar field on Clem's Way.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to discuss right now.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it on that, that's it.
I just
But if
think
not,
that,
I think we've drugged this fat further
So
down the
far,
road.
what we've seen, what everyone's seen, the multiple meetings we've gone to, is that the trust is like that much, that things are gonna be done the way this should be. Because it started off bad and it's just continuing. And I don't know that it will ever get to a point that we can actually feel like, hey, they did a good job and look, it doesn't flood and everything is great.
Well, the
But I
other
don't
thing we can
think
do is
that's
we can talk
gonna
to, we can talk to the engineer that's building this and say, hey, listen, we want to do a one-third site visit with the engineer, with our peer review. Let him go make sure things are being built correctly. But we just can't sit back and say, you can't do that, because they have to go by this. They're using this for the state regulations.
It's, you know,
I
I
hear
want
your
to voice
frustration,
my
sir, but-
frustration and lack of trust.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
You
this
see
one
what's going
turns.
on, and I don't really feel that there's a trust that we can feel good about this.
Well, all I can say is I'm hoping this one changes everything. I really do. I hope it's
The
built
problem is,
correctly. I hope-
once it's done, it's too late.
No, it isn't too late, and I want you to say it is not.
No, that's not true.
That's not
It's
true.
You know, Then it's
No, it
years
can
and
still be
years of waiting to
circumvented.
try and fix it.
You're not correct.
It's not going to be oh, you did it wrong, so next week we're going to go fix that. It's going to be years and years and years.
No, it
of
isn't.
trying
We
to
have one
fix
on
it.
Main Street that went through this. They didn't build it according to their plan, and then the structures didn't work. So we sent our engine out there. They spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to put it back to the original plan to rectify it, because it was not working. So with that being said, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars willingly to put it according to the plan.
Well, it probably wasn't willingly, it's because you told them they needed to.
Well, there is
So they
enforcement.
it's not willing.
willingly said, we have to fix it.
Yeah, they did what they had to do because you told them they had to fix it.
So it
Because they tried
changed.
to cheat in the beginning and do it a cheaper way.
And they were caught.
And, yeah, so how many people are doing this and hoping they're not gonna get caught?
But that's why we're here. We're making sure that things are done correctly. With that being said, sir, I really, we don't have a minute thing on our thing, but I think we've dragged this further enough, and you have to realize that everybody is using this state book is what they go by.
It's just wanted to, I reiterate our frustration as to what's going on.
Can we see
That-
exactly where they're gonna be placing this? We don't really know.
There's no
Do you have a plan with you, Zach?
I did for the presentation, but I can provide it to anybody who'd like to
My
offline.
land's right there, and I have a septic system right right there that I had to build almost a mile down because of the wetlands.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't want that to bother my leaching area.
Yes, ma'am.
Zach?
Through the chair, I'm happy to speak with any of you, take any of your contact information. I know the Conservation Commission has all the plans
No.
available.
I don't know.
I can
Yeah,
provide you with electronic copies.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
This one's nowhere, it's located, we don't know where it is.
That's why.
So, excuse me, ma'am, could you come to the podium, because I'd like to talk to you anyways? and just- Yep.
Sorry.
If you don't mind, please state your name when you come
I
up.
have, if you want to use what I have here.
My name is Kathleen Burns, I live on 76 Robinson Road. That's my brother.
Okay.
And we both have like 35 acres of land over there.
Okay, so I was talking with peer review. One of the things that peer review suggested before we go for our site visit is he wants stakes to see where the fencing's going, because everything goes with inside the fencing, right? So this is another thing, Bill, I don't know if Bill put it on it, Zach, but I think we should have it, is if they put some stakes where the fencing's gonna go, right? And then everything goes with inside the fences, right? So if you're willing to give your email or whatever to Zach, when that gets done, we can let you know exactly, you can take a look yourself and say, okay, there's the fencing, everything's inside of it. Just because you border it, it doesn't mean it's going right up against the property
Right,
line.
so that's what I'm saying, I don't even know if it's 100 feet from where my land is. I don't know if it's 6 inches from where.
Well, that's why I think if we do put some stakes, Zach, to, just on the fence line, and then if anyone gets a hold of him and says, I'd like to see it before construction starts, I don't think you have an issue with that, would
Because I
you?
have, my leaching field, because of the wetlands, because of where we live,
That's all I have.
No, that's fine.
it's literally has cleanouts in it. It's a way, we designed it so that, because of the wetlands. So
And I
that-
understand that.
So it's literally right up on that wall, that stone wall that is on Clem's Way. So I worry about that, if that's gonna flood, that's gonna be a serious issue for my leaching field.
So I know that, like I said, peer review has gone over this with a fine tooth comb. I think if Zachary gets stakes put out where the fences are, I know that you want to see the drawings, you want to
Yeah, just so I know, if it's not anywhere near it, then I don't, I mean, nobody wants to have
He wants to
another, nobody
put
wants to have
that
another
on,
solar farm. You know, I think that, you know,
Yeah.
we have so many in Acushnet, and I think that's just a whole separate issue.
All right, I'm
you know?
gonna take and have Zachary and myself and you go right to the podium right now. Zach, I have a plan, if you can just kind of maybe help her out a little bit and just show her where it is to her property. I know this is tough, it's not a big plan, but it might be something just to
Yeah.
help the public here a little bit.
So this is Main Street. This is Main Street right here. Here's the mobile home park right here. This is the field right here. The solar project is within the field. This is the intermittent stream that runs here. The setbacks from all these little dots are the wetland flags that were approved by the peer reviewer. So you're back here.
Right, I'm trying to figure out on this
You said
map. right here.
Robinson Road?
Yep,
Robinson Road runs over here.
show me on here, like, it just
It's
It's way over
Show me
here.
here, okay,
It's way over
so,
here.
Cushing Lane. I think
Yep, so
Robinson
that's-
Road's even
Robinson
further.
Drain, no, Robinson Drain
No,
right
we're going the
here.
other way.
Oh, this way.
Yeah, this
In
way,
this plan set.
so this way, and then,
What I'm gonna do is,
Yeah,
when I
so-
come back next meeting, I'll have the right hookup for this screen.
yeah, so they
and I
show
can
us
bring hard copy
where
to
our
you.
properties are. I think that's more the concern, where our properties are,
Thank you.
how far away we're gonna be.
Of course.
You know, and this, you know, it's a solar farm, you know, and, you know, we have so many of them. And what happens in 20 years, you know, with the disposal of these solar farms, you know, they're going to get obsolete. And when they're obsolete, is there a plan that they're gonna be destructed, or they're just gonna be, a junkyard, you know what I mean? So these are all, it affects our investment, our property. So this is why we bring these concerns, you know? And if we knew how far away from our property lines they were, maybe it's not, maybe it's a moot point that we're upset, you know?
Excuse me one second, we have exactly the planning board chairman
My name
here.
is Mark Francois, I'm the chairman of the planning board. They still have to come in front of us. But to
Okay.
just answer one of the questions that you just brought up, before they complete, they have to put money in an account. So after the 20 years, or whatever the amount of time, that money is used to put that entire solar field back to its original. It will not be a junkyard, it won't
Yeah,
be
yeah,
left,
so that-
it won't be left behind.
Yes.
When they're done with their project and the project is complete, they can change it out and put new panels and continue. That's
Yeah.
up to the landlord, the owner of the property. But to think that it's gonna just, they're gonna
So there's
abandon it and it's gonna be junk, it's not.
So there's provision in the.
There's supervision, there's monies, there's accounts, monies put aside to take care of that in the future.
And escrow.
That's good. That's good that we know that it's just not gonna be abandoned after the, you know, the life of this project. It has to be updated or discarded, which is great. But, yeah, still, they're like, they still would like to know how far I am from where you're planning to build this. And my brother lives like right next door, so then he's gonna be able to see that too, you know? But yeah, we have pretty valid concerns, you know? That's-
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the public? Okay. With that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion that this gets continued to August 13th meeting
So moved.
with a site visit August 9th, I believe, Joanne? Am I right by saying that? Okay, so it'll be a site visit August 9th, and the meeting will be August 13th. Zach, if you could have those stakes up just so we can see where the fence is going to be, we'd appreciate that. None.
One more time, Chairman, the 9th of August, that's the sidewalk.
9th of August is the site visit.
Thanks, sir.
I don't know what time, but Joanne will let you know what's going on, and we'll go with that.
We'll get stakes up.
All right. Thank you very much. Entertain a motion to continue to the August 13th vote.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Certificate of Compliance, Mark Francois, 301 Perry Hill Road, DEP file number SE0010567, and stormwater. A certificate of compliance was filed by Mark Francois for property located at 301 Perry Hill Road, map 8, lots 25, 25D, 25E, and 25F. The applicant improved approximately 628 feet of existing gravel roadway and constructed approximately 525 feet of new gravel roadway, construction of stormwater swales and detention ponds, and to fill and grade within the 100-foot buffer zone of bordering vegetated wetland, stamped plan of record, final site inspection photos, date 6/23/25, submitted with a letter from David Davinian, P.E. of Schneider Davinian and Leon Incorporated. You got something to say? Go right ahead, young man.
I'm just here to answer any questions that the board might have. Mark Francois, 301 Perry Hill Road. The board has been out there, we all did a site visit last week. I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have. I asked for a continuance a year or so back to finish the replication area. That's all been complete, and you have the engineer's packet in front of you.
Anyone got anything to ask, say? Anyone from the public? Okay, with that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the certificate of compliance along with the stamped letter from the engineer for file number SE001-0567 and stormwater permit.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're all set, young
Thank you,
man.
gentlemen, ladies, thank you.
Public hearing, NOI N-Star Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy, map 12, lot 22B, 23B, 23F, SE001-0608. A notice of intent was filed by N-Star Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy, map 12, lots 22B, 23B, 23F. The applicant proposes the installation of approximately 1 mile overhead transmission line with the existing Eversource right-of-way, number 142, between the Menlo Road substation in the Mattapoisett Town Line. The applicant is represented by Jack Facaro? Is that right?
Jack Macaro, yeah.
Okay, Facaro, of Epsilon Associates. Plan name is Line 112, Wetland Replication Area. Grading plans date May 12, 2025. Review of matters presented, votes may be taken. I'd like to entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I get a second?
Oh, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the board. Thanks for having us. My name is James Clancy. I'm an environmental specialist with Eversource Energy. Here with me is Jack Vaccaro from Epsilon Associates, our environmental consultant on the project, and Eric Vasquez from Burns & McDonnell, the engineer on the project, also managing project management. And also Stephen, our member with Project Services, deals with community members. So I'm going to go through the presentation we went through 2 weeks ago. I'll try to do a little quick, especially because we were out on site on Saturday, so you guys have seen the right-of-way in its whole. But so the project is a existing circuit extension, a transmission line circuit, a 115 kV, in an existing utility right-of-way that we do maintain currently. The right-of-way's width is mostly fully trimmed out, so there's no major tree trimming involved. There's going to be some tree trimming, like limbing on the top, so that way we have, when we install the new line, if there's any sway, we're not having any arcing or fire or anything. Standard safety stuff for us. So that's generic for the project. The project is to do a few different things. So the biggest reason for the project is, one, to help integrate distributed generation facilities, so that includes solar facilities, wind facilities, roof-mounted solar, things like that, to get those clean energies into the grid as much as possible in the region. It also adds an additional transmission backbone to the region. There's been some call on the company, and not just Eversource, but also National Grid in the region, to help build a more robust grid in the area to combat storms and outages. So this is one of those types of projects that helps add a secondary circuit into this area. So if for some reason the circuit that is currently powering this area goes down, there's a backup. Are we not moving?
Are you supposed to be on page 3 and you haven't been moving it?
It's not moving, Jack. Oh, it's moving now? Yes. That's what I was pressing. Oh, are you hitting page or the arrow? Oh, all right.
I think it's,
That's the one I was on. I'll go back. So the members of the board, if you remember Saturday, we were out there Saturday morning. This is essentially the view you guys saw Saturday. It was taken around the same time of year last year, so very representative view. This is what the current right-of-way looks like, and then as proposed, this is on the Mattapoisett side of the project. As the board knows, this line runs about 3 miles from the Mendel Road area to Crystal Spring and Mattapoisett, where we have an existing substation. So this is a view from the Mattapoisett side, but the structure, size, color, everything is identical for the entire line, so it's going to look exactly like that. And I think now is where I'll hand it over to Jack to get through the specifics of all the map sets. Thank you.
Jack, before you start, one thing I want to do with the abutters list. Are we,
Certified.
you get them certified?
I haven't got them yet, no. I can forward them down tomorrow. Okay. So in Appendix C of the Notice of Intent, or Attachment C, I should say rather, is a good permitting map set. It kind of gives a good graphic representation of the project across the town of Acushnet. The first 2 sheets of the permitting map set are in Acushnet. About 1 mile of this project is in Acushnet, the other 2 are in Mattapoisett. So I just want to walk you through that the first couple of sheets to give you a sense of the wetland impact, the resources and the wetland impacts along that segment. Here we have that first sheet, which let me just take a moment and explain the map symbology for anybody that might be watching it on screen. You see the two black lines that parallel black lines that run left to right across the page. That represents both edges of the transmission right-of-way. There's also a dashed line, pair of lines that run within the right-of-way. That's the existing access road. The green polygon represents the wetland areas that were delineated within the right-of-way. And there's also buffer zones and riverfront areas and bordering land subject to flooding that are also represented by various line types on the plan. But if you can focus on the green areas, that's where the wetland impacts will occur. I'm going to zoom in now on the first two structures south of our first road crossing there. That's structures 3 and 4. The only two structures that are actually located within bordering vegetated wetland. And you can see that the red dots represent the structures. If you look closely, you'll see there's a numerical label that represents a unique identifier for that structure. Here we have structures 3 and 4. And also you'll see a yellow crosshatched area. If I can just leave the podium to point this out to you on the screen here. These yellow crosshatched areas around the structures and along the north side of the right-of-way, those represent areas that where temporary construction mats will be placed. The idea is to basically provide a stable work surface for the construction equipment that's working on the installations of these structures, and also good stable access where the equipment will have to cross the right-of-way along the north side in order to do that trimming of the vegetation. So the plans also show areas of temporary and permanent impact. The permanent impacts are really limited to areas where the structures are going to be in wetlands. That's these two structures only. The next structure, structure 5, is located within riverfront area, but not within the wetland. And let's see, just getting back to this again. Here we have the area where the project crosses Tinkham Brook. That's near structure 5, as I just said. This blue dash represents the riverfront area. You can see structure 5 is within that riverfront area, but just outside of the floodplain. So we're not in bordering land subject to flooding with the structures, but we are certainly within the buffer zone of the wetland there. Moving on to the next page. This is where we get to the town line, the county line, in fact, between Bristol and Plymouth counties, right? So we have all of these structures on this sheet are located within the buffer zone of wetlands, but none of them are located within any of the wetlands or resource areas. This is just a handy reference to summarize or quantify the various impacts, both temporary and permanent, along the right-of-way. The left-hand column is just the different types of resource areas that we encounter along the right-of-way. Those include bordering vegetated wetland, riverfront area, and land subjects to bordering land subject to flooding. The next column over is the temporary impacts. They're itemized by both construction matting and vegetation management. And then finally, the last column on the right is the permanent impact. So you can see there's actually very little permanent impact. 120 square feet of total impact in bordering vegetated wetland, and 180 square feet in the riverfront area. Sorry. So a lot of mitigation has been proposed here. It's been built into the project design. It includes use of construction mats to minimize impacts to wetlands related to construction access and operation of equipment around each of those structures. Maintaining the root structure of trees and shrubs removed from the north side of the right-of-way. As James said, most of that vegetation management is going to be lopping off limbs of trees that are extending into the right-of-way to maintain the required separation from the suspended lines. There will be specialized installation for the structures at 3 and 4, the direct embed method that allows for the structures to be installed without a concrete foundation, meaning there'll be less disturbance to the wetland area at those 2 locations. Of course, sediment and erosion controls will be installed at all wetland crossings. And also we have environmental compliance monitor, very important consideration. There will be a qualified environmental inspector assigned to the project whose responsibility will be to go out there and make sure that all of the conditions of this order of conditions we hope to get from this commission are honored, as well as all of the other environmental permits that the project is subject to. Those inspections will be held minimally once a week. And then, of course, we have the wetland replication areas, which I'm going to talk a little bit about for those 2 areas where... I can move.
You need a hammer? You can fix any computer.
Wow. Well, if you have your notice of intent, you can refer to attachment F, and those are the site plans that show the replication areas for the project. Those are pretty detailed. They show exactly where the replication areas are in relation to where the structures are going. They give you the information on the quantity and species of plants that are going to be planted, and also the topography that'll be created to provide for these replication areas. The 2 structures, 3 and 4, will occupy a total of 120 square feet of wetland. It's about 60 square feet of permanent impact at each location. And there's going to be over 400 square feet of replication provided in total. I wish I could show you on the screen, but
It's all right.
the computer's misbehaving. Just a brief word about the project's limited project status, right? So, under the Wetland Protection Act, in that book that you referred to earlier, there are provisions for certain projects that are given some leeway, let's say, in terms of what's allowed for wetland impact, right? Cross-country line is one of those projects. It's understood that, these projects go several miles. It's likely that they cannot satisfy all of the performance standards for the various wetland resource areas. So the Wetland Protection Act regulations give the local conservation commissions the discretion to approve a project under the limited project statute. That said, it is important to point out that this project does, in fact, meet all of those performance standards. Now, I can go through each of those performance standards for all of the resource areas if you'd like. I've got them all listed in the presentation, and I can spend the next 10 minutes explaining to you why the project satisfies each of those performance standards.
So before you get into that...
In terms of respecting your time this evening, I'd like to turn it back to the commission. If you have any questions to ask of me specifically about those performance standards, I'd be happy to.
So before I even let them ask you a question, I want to tell my board something. I went and made a phone call to the DP, and I actually talked to the guy who handled this, right? You're not exempt. What he says, it's special conditions, right? So it's something a little different. It's not that, okay, you guys are exempt, you do what you want. He says you still have to follow the guides as tight as we can get them, right? And I believe you guys are trying to do that, right? And he even said it, he reviewed it, he said everything looked real good. With that, that's what I wanted to tell my board, that I did talk to the guy who reviewed it, so it was even better than just talking to somebody else, right? And then I said, well, they're exempt anyway. He said, Jimmy, I don't like that word. He said it's a special condition they have the right to go through, and it's listed in this book, right? So, with that being said, guys, if you got any questions, now would be the time to ask them. Ask him. All right, anyone from the public, any thing on this? Come right up to the podium, please.
So I live at 16 Holly Avenue in Acushnet.
Yeah, could you just state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry,
please?
Paula Jardin, 16
you.
Holly Avenue in Acushnet. So I got one of these notices that says that we are within 100 feet of this. So that means we are going to have new wire within 100 feet of our home. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. I believe actually it's going to be on the other side of the
Yeah, so
existing
that's
wire.
why I'm wondering why we got one of these
So-
registered mail letters.
They have to go within 100 feet of the, go ahead, you can bring it right up, Jack, if you want.
The reason then that you are notified is because we're required to notify anyone within 100 feet of the right-of-way.
Project.
It says I'm in a butter.
In terms, and a butter to the right-of-way within 100 feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is not gonna be on Holly Avenue then?
No, you're not gonna have no wires on Holly Ave,
Okay.
nothing's going over your house,
Okay.
Nothing to do with
I
Holly
just am trying to clarify, the letter did not say anything except we're in a butter.
right.
And that was my concern.
So
Okay.
your biggest thing I like is that you came here to ask, instead of sitting home and throwing it on Facebook or whatever. So I
I
am so
don't do
glad that you
Facebook.
did come here and you got the answer you wanted, right?
Okay, no, that's fine, and I will spread the word to the neighbors, because that's what everybody wanted to know, is, what did it mean to be in a butter?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
The new would make a clarification. It's them replacing an existing line on an existing run would help the public.
So they're adding a whole new run. It's adjacent. So what's up now is 114?
Yeah.
And they're gonna put up 112, but if you wanna bring it back up.
Yeah, I can try to get, I don't know if it's gonna work for us. But I know the board saw it, I think I explained it in person. 'Cause I think it was a little confusing. It's, so there's a current right-of-way that's built out for 2 circuits. There's only 1 circuit there currently, so this project is to build the 2nd circuit on the other side of the right-of-way. It's currently cleared, so I mean, like if you look down the right-of-way, you'll see half of it's empty. So this project is to fill that out with the circuit. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
I guess we'll stay up there.
Okay, Joanne, without the certified abutters, we can still put this to a vote and continue?
That's up to you.
But you're supposed to walk in with them.
I would do a contingency with the abutters notification and make it known.
Yeah, that's what I would.
So I guess I will say just, I think I mentioned it last time we were here, the WPA does require that we produce proof of mailing, not proof of delivery. So
Correct.
I believe we have complied with proof of mailing.
Did they give the,
Yes.
okay, so you did, correct. And then
And we also followed the policy that was given to us 2 weeks
We usually
ago.
require the proof that they mailed it like that, which they did provide, and then the green card, just to make sure most people did receive the notification.
Right, and I know that
That's the
the
town's.
the mail department didn't do their job
Yes.
correctly.
Yeah.
That is not against you guys, because you guys did what you were supposed to do.
I did say we have the one abutter off of Mendel Road that we're familiar with. Stephen actually did hand deliver a notice on, was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. We made sure everyone that, could potentially be affected by the project was notified.
Okay, so, with that, Joanne, do you have the notice of intent with you?
I do.
Can I please get it? So we have a few beyond the standards that we add to.
Yep.
So the notice of intent, you have to follow all the standard order of conditions, cut and dry. There are a couple that we always put on and now I'm actually getting in the habit of reading it so everyone knows. There's also a couple we're probably going to add, and I think it was like a quick discussion on Saturday about it. The spill kit that's going to be added to it. A spill kit has to be on the ground, not in the back of a pickup truck, and I am probably going to do a visit, right?
Not down the road.
Yeah, I don't want it a quarter of a mile down the road. It's like, the other thing is no fueling in the wetlands. So there's a couple, but if I can just get that notice of intent, I'll read you kind of like ours.
You
The
want
gentleman-
what he filed as a notice of intent.
Yeah, but we have ours.
You don't want to copy the order of conditions.
No, we add special conditions on our order about the erosion control, porta johns, everything else.
That's the order.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Go
may,
ahead.
and based upon the site visit that we went, I called it to you guys' attention over there on the right-hand side.
Sign in here.
I would like to see
You
that
want-
gate
that's the
secured.
notice.
Yes.
Right.
I'd
You
like
want
to
the
see
order.
that posted.
I did call.
We have that.
I called her
The
outside.
dumping
Yes.
that's happening on that property.
Yep.
So we encourage whoever's dumping on that property,
Yep.
it's the wrong thing to be doing out there. We have a town yard that you can bring your yard debris, et cetera, to dispose of that yard debris. So we've asked, they graciously accepted, that this debris that's over there would be cleaned out upon the construction that's gonna take place over there. It's just, it frustrated me to see all that dumping over there. There is some wetlands over there, and I think that's what frustrates this board. You know, we know there's a town yard to dispose of our yard debris, so let's use it to our advantage and protect those wetlands.
So there's a couple things I'm going to add here. This is one that we put on every single order of conditions, and we call it our special, so I'm just going to read this off. Erosion control inspection, on-site meeting with contractor within 5 days prior to construction. Site visit from agent at end of construction. No stockpiling of materials, no equipment stored, no refueling, no portable toilets, or washouts from concrete in the buffer zones. I don't think that's asking a lot.
The only thing I'll say, this might be something you might want to specify. So when we drill for a structure, the spoils for that will usually go on the side of the pad while they're setting the structure, and then they'll backfill. So I'm assuming you guys are okay with us leaving it there while we're setting the structure.
You kind of have no choice. And I know that the work has to take place, right?
I just wanted to make sure you weren't expecting us to truck it off while we're waiting and then put it back in later on.
No, I mean, if you're going to have it right there while you're in the work zone, but if you have to bring in any other stock from outside, you can't dump it in the wetlands, keep it in the road or whatever, right, or in the border of vegetated wetlands. Like I said, the other thing I am looking for is a spill kit on site, 100% time, right on the ground by the drill rig. As far as 5 days prior to construction, I would like to go out and visit and see the erosion control in, see the walls in, whatever you're using, and just to make sure everything looks great, and then we can give a thumbs up. If you give me, like I said, with the 5 days, I can actually ask any of the commission members if they're willing to go out. If not, it's a solo trip I'll do.
I'll meet you out there.
All right, that sounds great. Okay. So with that being said, you want to pass this back to her just so we don't get anything confused? If you got something?
No. I think what you, the way you address the spoilers is adequate, Jim.
Okay. So with that being said, we've added our special conditions, spill kit, the right-of-way at the work. Also, make sure, this is one other thing that I just put a couple of little notes, is that the operators, the guys on site, they have numbers of emergency contacts. I know that when I worked construction, it was always right there posted. You had the ambulance, local hospital, clean harbors. I worked in marine construction. So please make sure those numbers are visible to the guys that are working. Because the last thing you want, if they blow a hydraulic line or something gets 911, that they don't know which direction to go. Yep. So just please emphasize that prior to construction, and I think we'll be in pretty good shape. With that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion that the order of conditions get accepted.
I'll make a motion.
Do I get a second?
I would like to see the green cards be included in this, right?
So
Contingent.
no contingency, I don't feel, because they did their proper
Due diligence.
notification. They did their due diligence.
Okay.
They went to the post office, they gave it to Joanne. I know that we usually go with the green cards. I think you guys have done what you're supposed to do. So with that, I think they've done due diligence.
Okay.
So with that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion that the order of conditions get accepted.
I made a motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Aye. All set, young man.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Okay, next on the discussion, 185 Mattapoisett Road, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. With that being said, I have to recuse myself.
All right, I'll wait.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm gonna wait.
I'll be quick.
Go ahead, that's fine.
Yeah, let's play around.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
And that's
No.
fine, but we just wanted to, because if it was going over, we would like to know that also. So, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Regarding the issues at 185, as I had mentioned at the previous meeting, I was going to confer with the town council, which I have done. As of now, we seem to be at a stalemate with this issue, and for that reason, we are going to, I'm going to look for a motion to send this out to peer review for third-party review. And upon receiving the notes from that review, the final decision will be made regarding this project. That was the recommendation, town council.
From town council.
Yeah, that's correct. So, I move that we, agree that we will send this out to peer review for a third party to review this. And like I said, that at that point, we will determine what the outcome will be. That's where it stands.
Let me ask a question if you don't mind.
Come up.
Jim Marsh. Peer review, you gotta have a vote. You don't have a quorum, so you can't.
Yeah, we do.
You do? How?
Yes, we do. The three of us.
You're a 7-member board.
No, we aren't currently
And
seven.
you are. You have 7 seats. You don't. But anyways,
I'm not.
secondly, who's paying for the peer review?
The commission.
The commission's gonna.
That's
pay.
correct.
Well, I'd be happy to discuss this with my client and see if he's willing to have a third party come on his property, but he may say it's not
I
something he
understand.
wants.
I understand that's another roadblock. That's neither here nor there at this point. This is the recommendation that was given to me from town council.
I'll speak to town council.
Possibly, we should have already entertained this prior, and, it could have been that much closer to
the end.
determination, but
What is the scope of work of the peer reviewer?
I'm not an engineer. I'm just, relaying,
Yeah.
I'm relaying, don't shoot the messenger.
I'm not trying to do that. I'm just
The
wondering. what he's looking
recommendation, and I'm sure you're aware of it, so.
for. I mean, is he looking for, or she?
Well, basically, it's gonna be, an as-built is what we're gonna hopefully obtain, because we can't and haven't been able to do that. And so, that's right, to make an educated decision on this whole issue. And I'm comfortable with that. I mean, I think that's fair. I was hoping that we could come to a resolve between the parties, and,
Well, that's a possibility.
okay, I'm not saying it isn't either, I'm not, but again, this is what was recommended, I don't have an issue with it. It seems like a sensible thing to do at this point. This way, we're making an educated decision when we have all the information in front of us. That's where it stands. So.
All right, so the process of which you're gonna seek peer review, you're gonna send out requests to several different firms?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Will we get an opportunity to see what firms are sending in?
I don't think,
proposals?
I don't,
Generally,
I don't see,
Generally, it's 3
Minimum.
we provide.
Yeah, that's
minimum
correct.
of
That's
3.
fine.
yeah, that's correct.
So I'd like,
So,
the parties would wanna see who
we're
they are.
not, we're trying to be as transparent as possible with this whole situation.
Okay.
At least I am, totally. And so, I don't have any issue with any of the information being obtained by
Okay. No, it's
the
good.
body.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
we'll
not
just,
sure who we have
Russ.
to peer review.
I understand, I know we did have,
We might have two.
really? No, we'll
whatever.
cross that road. I mean, we're trying to do the fair, amicable thing here to resolve this. So.
Okay. Is this gonna be on for the 13th? And we'll hear
Well,
about it on the 13th, or should we bump it out even
I'm
further?
hoping, yeah, I can't say,
I just,
it's not, Yes,
if we have
I
something
understand.
substantively we can talk about,
You wanna-
maybe it makes sense to come back.
no, maybe not, because
Yeah.
how quickly that's gonna occur is beyond me.
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna go forward with it after we, make the motion here, and, I mean, if you're okay with that, I mean, we could, what is the following meeting after the,
The next
The
meeting is the
27th?
13th, and the meeting after that is the 27th.
right, the 27th? I guess,
Yeah.
hopefully, we all have the information that we're looking for, and we can,
I mean, I would request both parties send everything again in the PDFs, just to simplify it, so I can resend it. We don't have an agent here.
yeah, that's the
So
other
this
thing.
is a lot that I would be taking on just as the clerk, and I'm already
Understood.
struggling, in there.
So, the commission can do what they want with respect to, working off the advice of town council.
That's,
I mean, I gotta.
that's where I left it
Yeah,
at the
I'll
last
have the
meeting.
discussion with my client as to.
I just felt more comfortable.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because no one wants to go through any unnecessary litigation, I mean, that's what we're trying to avoid that. So,
No, I think everybody is on the same page with that. Again, if you've been advised to
right.
seek peer review, I gotta talk to my client about it first. But, if you vote it through, you vote it through. I still think there's a question of more, but, we can respond through your agent as to whether we're in agreement.
Okay.
So I'll make the motion to send this down.
Oh, yeah, I'll entertain a motion that we put this out to peer review, a third-party engineer to overlook.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then push it out to at least the 27th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that,
27, Joanne?
would that be,
I mean, it's more so up to you guys,
Yeah, I mean-
if that's the case.
no, I think that's
We've gotta
sensible
work out
for
the
everyone,
details.
for everyone.
Joanne as well.
This way,
Yeah, I mean,
everyone has the information that comes available and can have time to review it prior to the 27th. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
yeah, just off the top of my head, I think it was when the last prior agent was here, they did ask questions about the quorum, and the attorney, town council did come back with saying that it's a 5-member board now, because they have 2 vacant
Right.
positions. And
Yeah, no,
both the town clerk and...
I disagree with
right,
his
right.
advice to
I
your
know what you're
board,
saying,
but-
because
yeah.
she turned around and said, it's a voted-in 7-member
Okay.
board,
is.
appointed board.
Yeah.
That's what we got as a written statement, was it's a 5-member board now. I have the paperwork somewhere here.
No, I
So-
remember him raising, the
Yeah,
question was raised when we were back at the police station.
Yeah,
And I
we
think he
did ask.
gave you the advice.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. I know I brought it. I brought it somewhere here. Oh, here it is. I did find it. Okay. I know I brought it. It's just somehow. So a quorum of the commission is defined as 310 CMR 10.05 as a majority of the members then in office. It sounds like there are currently 5 members in office. Accordingly, 3 members are required as to a minimum to maintain a quorum to take action on any application. In order to grant a permit application, there must be an affirmative vote by a majority of a quorum. So that's what we got as you know, from our
Right.
town council.
KP, right? That was from KP.
Yeah. And again, the town clerk did bring out the town charter or bylaw or whatever it was that she had, which differs from this, so I think,
I'm not gonna give you
yeah,
advice.
exactly, I mean.
Your town council telling you what.
We're going with what town
His
council
opinion is,
said,
yep.
right? So, that's all I can tell you at this point.
Okay. All right, we'll see you.
So, you make a motion, put them on the
Yeah.
27th?
I mean, go ahead.
So make a motion to continue for the 27th.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second.
All those
Are you
in
okay
favor?
with it?
Aye.
You good, yeah?
I think it should have been done a long time ago.
All right, I just want to make sure that,
Look,
I've already paid for it once.
no, we're all paying for something here. All right.
See you on the 27th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
But I'll follow up with you.
Yeah.
With anything that's submitted or
Yeah, let's try to
Or
get,
sent out.
you know, yeah,
to these engineers.
have Dave send the last plans that we had, the original plan, then there was a modification, and then another one, so the final one, just so they can see everything.
Yep.
And I can figure out who we're gonna use for peer review, give you an opportunity. I think there's two. I think it's GAF and maybe Merrill. I think that's the only ones that we have available to
Okay.
us. I can check with planning to see if she uses something else that maybe they could take on for us too. I think she mentioned a name, but I wasn't familiar with it.
Yeah.
So again, when the last agent was here, he was trying to round up more peer reviewers, but it didn't seem like we could get a few on board easily.
Okay.
So
All right.
I will try my best to see if
Do your
she
best.
can help with doing some more recommendations and reaching out.
Okay.
And then we'll give you like 3 and send them out to those 3 and get some quotes for you.
Okay.
That sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, okay. Public hearing and requirements, review of matters presented, votes may be taken. So right now, Joanne's doing the public acts. No longer, it's gonna be the applicant, engineers, whoever, they have to show, they have to do the boiler template according to Joanne, but it's gonna release Joanne some more work, and that's what we're trying to do. So let's get the engineers, let's get the applicants, let them do the ads.
Yeah.
So with that, Joanne, do I gotta put this to a vote, or discussion is fine?
Sure, let's vote.
All right, so what we're gonna do is entertain a motion to
Right.
vote that the applicant or engineers or whoever is presenting the documents, they're the ones that have to do the ad requirements.
So moved, yeah.
I'll second that.
Yep.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
That's off your list now, Joanne.
Beautiful, right?
Agent updates. We don't have any agent, so we don't have any agent
Do we,
update.
Mr. Chairman, do we have any consideration as far as filling that seat?
So I actually had a talk with Jamie Kelly. Let's see if they can fill it quick. I said, you know, there was other applicants. Let's see if they're willing to go back. That's something I will discuss with Jamie again, and I'm also gonna talk to the selectmen regarding.
Are we running an ad?
I don't know what their plans are right now, but I will try to research it as soon as I can. Okay. So with that other business, any other business that may properly come before the commission not reasonably interfere with posting 48 hours prior to the meeting. Future meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I
Go ahead.
do have a question on the
Oh,
floor.
I'm sorry, Zach.
Other business, if you don't mind. Zach Farkas, now for Middle Road Solar. My attorney's been in touch with Joanne. The Middle Road Solar project was the first project that came through this town where Conservation Commission had taken stormwater from planning under the new stormwater bylaw. And I don't think, and I think this might have come on part my side, part Mr. Minton was kind of on his way out in the middle as we were ending, but we need a reference to a stormwater permit or lack thereof. Essentially, my attorney's drafted a letter that basically just says this board needs to certify that the order of conditions issued is in fact the notice of intent and stormwater.
She's got the letter. So what I do, she has it all ready for us to sign and everything.
So what happened was, Mr. Minton is the one who issues permits, not me.
Yep, totally.
I can type up a permit, but unless I'm told to type up a permit,
100%.
that's not my jurisdiction, so.
So as of right now,
You guys are the best.
It's signed.
I have to scan that
Yep.
copy now, so I'll email it to you tomorrow.
He's like, give it to me now, give it to me now.
Too good.
That was too good, right?
Thank you guys very much.
You're welcome.
Good evening. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the final.
All right, so other business, any other business that may properly come before the commission not reasonably anticipated when posting 48 hours prior to the meeting. Future business, the next meeting of the Conservation Commission will be on August 13, 2025. Meeting will be held at the Town Hall Meeting Room located at 122 Main Street, Acushnet, Mass. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Do I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.